Sister-in-law ordered lobster and expensive wine. I said separate checks. The reservation was for 12, not 12-ish. Not 12 plus, I'm the reliable brother. The one with the spreadsheets and the 401k. My sister-in-law Tiffany is the opposite. She treats life like an all-you-can-eat buffet where someone else always has the tab. For years I played the part. I've subsidized family vacations. I've covered the forgotten wallets. But last night was my breaking point. It was my parents' 40th anniversary. I booked a private room at a high-end steakhouse. I was very clear in the family group chat. My treat for mom and dad. Everyone else, please be mindful of the budget. I made a reservation for 12. Exactly 12. 10 minutes before we sat down, Tiffany swiped her way into the lobby with 3 of her friends in tow. Hey, I hope you don't mind, she chirped, not looking me in the eye. The girls were in town and I couldn't just leave them at the hotel. I looked at the manager. I looked at the 3 strangers. I looked at Tiffany. The reservation is for 12, Tiffany, I said, my voice flat. Not 12-ish. Oh, don't be such a buzzkill. Mark, she laughed, waving them toward the table. We'll just squeeze in. It's a celebration. I didn't argue. I didn't make a scene. I just signaled the waiter and whispered 5 words into his ear. The night was a disaster of entitlement. Tiffany and her friends didn't just squeeze in. They took over. They ordered the seafood towers. They ordered the $200 bottles of Napa Cabernet. Tiffany even leaned over to my mom and said, isn't it great when the boys take care of us? My brother, her husband, just sat there staring at his water. He's been a passenger in his own marriage for a decade. When the main courses came, Tiffany didn't order the chicken or the petite filet. She ordered the twin lobster tails with truffle butter. Her friends followed suit. The table was covered in empty shells and expensive glass. The bill was easily going to be north of $4,000. I watched the server approach with a leather folder. The table went silent. This was the moment where I usually sigh, pull out my Amex and swallow my resentment. The server set the folder down in front of me. Are we ready for the check, sir? He asked. I smiled. It was the coldest smile I've ever felt on my face. Yes, I said, but we're doing this a bit differently tonight. I looked directly at Tiffany. She was currently dabbing a spot of butter off her silk blouse. I'm paying for mom, dad, my brother, and his kids, I announced. I paused, letting the words hang in the air. Tiffany, since you brought guests to a private reservation, I assumed you wanted to host your own party. Tiffany's hand froze. The friend stopped giggling. What do you mean? She stammered. I mean, I said, sliding the folder toward her. Separate checks. Everything I didn't just list goes on yours. The silence was deafening. You could hear the hum of the air conditioner. Mark, I don't have that kind of money on me, she whispered, her face turning a deep blotchy red. You said you were treating. I said I was treating mom and dad, I corrected. I didn't realize I was financing a sorority reunion. One of her friends piped up. This is really tacky, man. We're guests. I turned to her. You're not my guests. You're intruders. I don't even know your last names. My dad tried to intervene. Son, maybe we can just know dad, I said, standing up. Every time we do this, she bleeds us dry. Tonight she pays for her own appetite. The waiter, a pro who I'd tipped $50 up front to handle this, didn't blink. He produced a separate subtotal. $2,800 for Tiffany's end of the table. Tiffany looked at her husband. He looked at the floor. Dave, she hissed. Do something! My brother finally looked up. He looked tired. I told you not to invite them, Tiff. I told you Mark was serious this time. I laid down my card for my portion. I leaned over the table close enough that only Tiffany could hear me. The lobster tastes better when you actually earn it, doesn't it? I walked out of that restaurant while her friends were frantically trying to Venmo each other money they didn't have. My phone blew up all night. You ruined the anniversary. You're so petty. How could you embarrass her? I didn't reply to a single text. I just sat on my balcony with a glass of the cheap bourbon I actually enjoy, thinking about how good it felt to finally stop feeding the parasites. The reservation was for 12, and for the first time in my life, I was the only one who counted.